Hello fly tyers, welcome to another episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk, brought to you by AnglerMade. And today we're going to tie an egg sucking leech with the balance style hook. I just got these hooks in, so I wanted to try them out. This is called an Aberdeen jig hook by Mustad. The model number is 32755-BR. Anyway, that's what the box looks like. Very cost effective actually. They come in 100 packs, but you can see the eye turns down at a 90-degree angle instead of like a 60-degree angle. So the idea on this one is it will actually give me the ability to tie a little bit bulkier body on our egg sucking leech today. So with a balanced fly, we first get just a little craft pin and we slide our bead on it. And then what we're going to do, we're going to bring this pin, and I actually like it on the side of the hook more instead of right on the top. And we just kind of anchor it down. And then what we'll do is we'll just put a little bit of UV glue on it. Just something to hold it there nice and tight. Super glue works just as good. I just can't see my super glue right in front of me, but I can see a whole bunch of UV glue. So anyway, once you've got it all on, whoops, split my thread there. It's a rookie mistake. I'll simply coat everything in the thread, and we're going to go to the back of the hook. And one of the most effective colors that we use in our area is olive, and so I'm just going to get some olive marabou. And on this, I want quite a bit of movement in this fly. So you'll see the top of the marabou is pretty stiff, but right here you have kind of the long flowy stuff. So what I'm going to do is just take a clump of that, and I'm going to attach that to the hook. I'm not going to worry a whole lot about the length right now. That tail's too long for my liking, but I'll show you how we're going to shorten it. Then I'm going to get some of this olive crystal flash, and just get a little clump of that as well. And I cut that about the length that I want my tail. Then what we'll do is we'll get another clump of our olive, and I'm cutting about a 1/4 inch of this stuff off in width. Okay. Then what I'll do is I'll simply pull it off and break it. And what that does is it tapers your marabou so that you get a nice natural looking fluffy tail and not just a hard cut. And then as that pulsates in the water, you'll see the crystal flash come through. Okay, the next thing we're going to do on this fly is I'm actually going to get some red wire. You can also use gold or copper, but in the springtime I like to put a little bit of brightness in my flies. It seems to trigger more strikes. So We tie that on. Now we're going to get just some good old semi-seal dubbing, and this is olive brown. And we'll simply roll this on our existing thread. You can see once I've rolled it, I kind of tighten it up and hold it. And I'm wanting this to be quite bulky, especially the further I get up this hook shank onto my pin that I've tied on. And the reason I do that is so I get a nice good taper, just like a natural leech or minnow would have. And I just crisscross back and forth around the eye of that hook. I don't quite like that taper, so I'm going to put a little bit more onto it. Okay, that looks good. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ribbing wire, and I'm not going to worry about spacing this too close together. I just want a little bit of that to come through as I comb this out. Okay. So once I cut that off, I'll spin this so you can see what I'm doing. I simply just bend that piece around. And now I'll build up my head. Okay, and we'll simply get our whip finisher out. And finish it like so. Okay, so now once we're to that point, we are going to get our brush. I use just a normal hardware store brush, and then I comb the heck out of these because I want it to look nice and buggy when it gets in the water. The more you comb it out, the better and more natural it looks once it gets wet and starts dangling there in the water. So these are a very good, easy alternative from a woolly bugger. Whoops. Because instead of having to run hackle and worry about it coming apart, I simply comb that out, and you can see the red's coming through just enough to where it's going to make it look awesome in the water. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to put some UV glue on this bead, especially on my thread. So I just kind of rotate it around, and I actually make sure that whole bead's covered, because then it looks even more like an egg. And a lot of times these beads are just painted. They're usually painted or baked on with a pretty hard paint, but even then sometimes they'll chip away, and so putting that extra bit of glue on it and really get it nice and hard just makes this fly last a little bit longer. Okay, so this is actually going to sit in the water this way, but you can see with these new hooks I'm able to have a nice bulky leech or minnow fly, and I still got plenty of room to tie on my tippet. And so this is a fly that we've named the olive striker, and we're going to take this out this spring. We'll probably end up doing a video while using this fly right at ice off. It's very good for tiger trout. If you've ever fished for tiger trout, especially at ice off, one of the biggest tiger trout I ever caught was on a fly, the olive striker, just like this one. And it obviously works really good for rainbows, brookies. We'll tie it with a gold bead or a black bead later on in the summer, fish it quite deep. But I really like this balanced style because we fish a lot right underneath a strike indicator, and they sit nice and horizontal in the water. So thank you for watching this episode of Aaron at the Fly Desk, and we hope that you tie this fly and try this fly and go catch some fish. Thank you for watching.